Welcome back to the show, everybody. The Psychology Show, because there's only one. Every other psychology show, every other psychologist will talk about what you need to do to become healthier, but they won't tell you how to do it. Well, that's not really psychology. That's philosophy. Oh, go out in the sun. Make more friends. What? Right? Like be part of some social circle, join an adult sports league, take vitamin D. That's really good for yeah, that all helps. I get it, but that's what to do. That's not how to do it. That's not specifically how your psychology works, a topic we're going to get into today. But I think in this topic, or in this show, and in that topic, we go a little bit deeper to understand truly the mechanisms behind your psychology, the unconscious mechanisms that are going on. So when you start doing something that you don't want to do, or you're not doing something that you do want to do, and you know why, you understand. Yeah, it goes deep, like the stack of books. I guess you don't see it, but my microphone's on a stack of books that I just pulled off the shelf. And these books are the foundation for this show. These books are the foundation for my fledgling practice. You have complete works of Aristotle here, book of Freud and beyond. Yeah, I haven't read a lot of Freud specifically. I had read a few of his books. Jung, I'm more into reading Jung specifically, but I've read a lot of books about Freud. That's a good one. Freud and Beyond. Joseph Campbell, Philosophy of Science, Inquiring and Concerning the Principles of Morals by Hume. That's a real page turner. And then, of course, Kant, the prolegomena to any future metaphysics. The foundation for this show, the foundation literally and metaphorically. But man, we got lots to talk about today. I got my blood drawn this week. Not a fan. Shots, I'm fine with. You just stick a needle in my arm. You know, one of those Tdap, DDAP inoculations that you get where there's like 5 needles that go in at the same time. It's like a cartoon shot. It's like you would have a needle with 5 needles. Like that's something you would see in our cartoon. Well, that was on Lost or Lisa, right? When Bart has all those fixtures glued to his face, and Dr. Hibbert wants to make him sweat, but it can't be just any regular sweat. It can't be workout sweat. It must be fear sweat. And he had a cartoonishly scary needle, and that's what those Tdap needles are. But yeah, I got my blood drawn. I just don't like getting my blood drawn. I don't like seeing the blood come out of my arm. Just something about it. Something about sticking the needle into the vein. I don't even like talking about it, to be honest. Which is great. I mean, it was great. I was sitting there in the doctor's office. I knew it was coming, and just to feel the anxiety. Just to be a part of that. And on one level, just have a deep appreciation for the power of it. How much it can affect us. And whatever I think I may know about anxiety. Well, I do know a lot. You know, something like that comes up, and all you can do is just sit there and say, well, here it comes. This thing that makes me human is happening to me. What a great experience. You know, on some level, what a great experience. That's what half of Star Trek episodes are about. Being a human, it's not perfect. I guess you could have been designed better. Your vertebrae is not built correctly for being upright. But man, what a great experience it is to be human. That's what I'm thinking, sitting there on the doctor's table, getting ready to get my blood drawn. But something happened that really made me, this is something I talk about in my book, Man's Guide to Psychology, but something happened that really made me realize just how powerful this is when it comes to managing anxiety. And if you don't do this thing, and then, I don't care how much you know about it. I don't care how much you want to manage anxiety. If you don't do this, then it's not going to happen. And what the doctor did is she gave me an out. She's like, well, we don't actually have to do the blood test today. You can come back later and do it. So she gave me an out. She gave me an opportunity to say, no, yeah, I'll just come back later. Yeah, right? Avoidance. She gave me an opportunity to avoid doing it. But immediately I snapped right into it and I said, no, we're doing it today. I'm not doing the runaway thing. We're doing it today. And as soon as I said that, I didn't feel 100% less anxious, but my anxiety significantly felt better, because what happened? I was the one making the decision. One of the reasons the CBT has such a problem is because you go into the office and they look at how you're living and they say, okay, do these behavior modifications. Oh, you're waking up late? Okay, well, here's what you need to do. You need to set your alarm to wake up earlier, and maybe here's something you could buy to help you wake up earlier, something like that. And that doesn't help you manage the issue because it's somebody else telling you to do it. Even if it is the right thing to do, it doesn't matter. Like, there's something about us. Like, we need to be intentional when it comes to especially working on our psychologies, when it comes to working on our unconscious issues. We got to be the ones to say enough. You have to be intentional, and no matter what happens, doesn't matter if you faint or pass out. You know what I'm really afraid of is driving home. I mean, I don't think I've ever gotten my blood drawn and then had to drive home afterwards. I'm like, am I going to pass out? Yeah, and then when I was driving home, I was like, well, maybe I'll just take the side streets. I won't take the highway. I'm like, no. I'm going to freaking go on the highway. And if it comes to me, losing consciousness, that's what's going to happen. I mean, I did. Well, what happened is I was really sick when I was 10. Maybe 10, 11, and I went and got my blood drawn. I went to go get a mono test. I don't think I had mono, but I was really sick. And as I was getting my blood drawn, I just fainted for maybe half a second, at most 2 seconds. I don't remember exactly. And so now I have an allergy to getting my blood drawn, right? I mean, it overgeneralized. My mind overgeneralizes, like your immune system overgeneralizes. Okay, you have a virus in your body, but you also have peanuts. Well, you're not specifically adapted to digest peanuts, so we're going to overgeneralize on the virus, and we're going to start attacking peanut protein, whatever peanut allergy is about. And that's what your mind does, too, to specific circumstances. And that's what happened to me when I was 10, and I think I still have just this residual, ooh, geez, what if I, but I understand what it is. And, it's very similar to hunger. When you lose weight, you got to be hungry at some point, but you just get used to the hunger. It's like, oh, so I have to be hungry all the time? No, but you're only imagining what it's like for you to be hungry now because you're not used to being hungry. But you become more accustomed, you become more acclimated to the hunger. And then your mind, you start to have a different perspective on it, and you start to just realize, oh, this isn't that big of a deal. And in fact, it feels kind of good. I think you get a little bit of a hit of energy when you get hungry, when you get adapted to it. Same thing with anxiety. It's just all about acclimating your neurology. Anxiety, I mean, I would say it's not in your brain, it's in your body, but that's a mind-body dichotomy. Your brain or your body is a freaking brain. It's everywhere. It's just a part of you. It's in you. It's about getting acclimated to it. And so even though I'm not that acclimated to getting my blood drawn, which happens most every 3 to 5 years, I am acclimated to other instances of managing my anxiety. So, all still kind of feels the same, but still, even in that moment, I don't like that word humbling, but it's very humbling. How anxious you can feel over something so freaking stupid. Like, I understand how childish it is to be afraid of getting your blood drawn, but, you got to do that, and you got to look at it, and you have to just be there. Just be present. Yeah, that's another thing. If you're afraid of getting your blood drawn, you don't distract yourself. Well, maybe you do it first to get over a few humps, but you're there and you're present. And so this is like a huge reason. Okay. I'm going way over time already, but this is a huge reason why guys have a difficult time managing anxiety. We all know, on some level, anxiety comes from confidence comes from managing anxiety, or at least overcoming fear comes from facing the fear. So we all know this on some level, but we don't do it because there's that component of, dude, you got to be intentional. It has to be you making the decision 100%. Somebody's going to say, oh, you don't have to go talk to that girl right now. You go, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be the one that does. And I'm not going to go talk to her in like what's the time, or where's the post office, which is fine if you can't do anything else. But that's a crutch to the real anxiety management, which is going up to a girl, telling her exactly why you're there. She knows why you're there anyway. Just being as direct as possible, depending on, what your personality stipulates. Some personalities, some guys just have more indirect personality. Some guys, but that's, it all comes down to that. How bold can you be? And you got to do it for you. I think a huge part of this is you are doing it for you. You're not doing it to look strong. You're not doing it so your wife doesn't think you're a puss or anything like that. You're doing it for you. I mean, how often do guys come back from war in Iraq and Afghanistan and they were charging into bullets? It doesn't get more scary than that. I'm watching this Vietnam War documentary. Can't imagine that kind of anxiety. Like real, anxiety feels like facing death. That's literally facing death. But then they come back to America and they can't talk to a girl in a Starbucks. Were they really charging into battle for them? No, they're doing it for their buddies. They're doing it, for their brothers in arms. I'm not trying to take anything away from it, but it's different when you're doing it for yourself. Intentional, bold, doing it for yourself. Unless you manage anxiety that way, unless you can really confront anxiety that way, it's probably not going to happen. It's not going to happen for you, and you're going to feel it not happen. You're going to walk up to the girl and ask her what the time is, and you're just going to kind of feel stupid and say, well, that's not for me. And then you go back to Tinder or Bumble or whatever happens to be. Yeah, you got to be the one doing it, right? I mean, that's the thing. Like, I just think that's really important. Like, I'm not going to be a target anymore. Like that guy says in Dances with Wolves, got to watch the 4-hour director's cut, which is just an extra 45 minutes of scenes of the planes. It's like, I'm not going to be a target anymore. I mean, you don't want to be the kind of, you don't want to be in the situation where you're estranged from your dad. You have this strained relationship with your dad and you don't have the conversation with him until he's on his deathbed. Like, you're going to feel good about that to some degree, but a deeper part of you is going to say, crap, why didn't I talk with him 20 years earlier? Last night I watched A Nice Place to Visit, which is just quintessential. I don't know if it's my favorite Twilight Zone episode. By the way, Twilight Zone, turning 60 this month. Not sure if it's my favorite Twilight Zone episode, but it's just one of these episodes I think really gets you in touch. Like, people say things like, oh, it's, you got to be grateful for your struggles or grateful for your challenges or whatever you happen to be going through. The anxiety that I felt on the doctor's bed, waiting to get my blood drawn. Oh, it's just nice to be part of it and to feel it. And at least you're alive to feel it, right? At least you're alive to feel the struggle. But man, this episode just does a great job of really getting you in touch with anything that you have in your life right now that's going wrong. And I've even said stuff like, and it's great perspective to keep in mind. No question. But it's only like some intellectual perspective argument. A Nice Place to Visit is a great way. Watching that episode is a great way to get in touch with it. Because it's about this guy who supposedly goes to heaven. He thinks he's in heaven and he's getting, like, everything's working out for him. He has all these girlfriends. He's winning at the slot machines. And, he has all this money and he lives in this nice place. But, and it's great for a while, but he keeps getting what he wants. And even towards the end of it, he's like, he was a bank robber, before he died. He's like, well, what we could do is we could stage some kind of bank robbery. And then Pip, right, as Pip, the guardian angel, goes, oh, great, we'll have a bank robbery. But no, it doesn't matter. It's not going to matter. It's not going to feel good unless there's a chance I can get caught. And then Pip says something on the effect of, yeah, well, okay, we could arrange that. We could do like a 5% probability that you could get caught. And then the main character goes, no, but I would know. It wouldn't be real. The struggle wouldn't be real. There wouldn't be any doubt of, can I really do this? And that's just a perfect representation of, what we all go through and what we realize sometimes. Like, we just want whatever we want. We like want our struggle, whatever it is, to be over, but your struggle is there for a specific reason. It's there. And this isn't some woo-woo, oh, it's, some karma thing. It is a specific reflection of your own issue. If you didn't have that issue, then you wouldn't be going through a struggle. I mean, whatever struggle you have right now, there's a million struggles you don't have because for the most part, you've managed those issues. So I really like that perspective, and it's important. Not because it's helpful or any respect or anything like that. I mean, that is part of it, but also because that's the truth. That is a correct perspective, but it's only a perspective. And man, just watching A Nice Place to Visit, I think it's episode 26 or something in the first season, it just gets you really in touch with that. Yeah, so of course then the guy realizes, oh wait, I'm not in heaven, I'm in hell. Or no, he says something to the effect of, what? I thought this was heaven. I thought I would feel good in heaven. And then Pip says, well, what makes you think this is heaven? And then he has this maniacal laugh, and you just feel the horror of what it would be like if you lived in this universe where you get everything that you wanted. Actually, I have a similar article that I wrote, Animus Empire, must have been 10 years ago now. I'll check it, may still be up. A lot of those old articles didn't get transferred over to the new site when I changed the site. But it was called Heaven is Hell, which is a play on, not as poetic as A Nice Place to Visit, but it was a play on, I think, that old Black Sabbath album, Heaven and Hell. Whatever you want, you don't want your struggle to be over. But what you want is awareness. What you want is a deeper understanding of what's going on and how your issues are reflected out in the external world. That's what you really want. And I think this will go over into the next thing I want to talk about. So I got a lot of response to that Jordan Peterson video that I did about him going into rehab. And, I'm not, it's not like, oh, if he would have known about psychology more, then he would have not have had that Klonopin addiction. But there are some blind spots in what Jordan Peterson talks about. And I think those blind spots are reflected in addiction. Right? Because what's my main criticism of Jordan Peterson is he talks about the what of psychology, but not the how. He tells you what to do, what I started talking about at the beginning of this episode. He tells you what to do, but not how to do it. And I've got several emails back, spirited emails, and a lot of spirited comments on that video. Thank you. I appreciate those. And here are a few examples that people say, no, you don't understand. He does talk about how to improve your psychology. He simply doesn't talk about the what. And the three examples, I think I got more than this, but there are three. The one guy said to carry your cross. Jordan Peterson says to carry your cross. Okay, that's telling you how to get better. To carry your cross. But that's not a how. That's simply a what. That's an elaborate explanation for a what. He's telling you that taking responsibility, that taking on a heavy load is important. But a how would involve, and we'll get to what a how will involve, but just to tease ahead, a how involves, well, what happens when you don't? What happens when you don't take on responsibility? I mean, if there's no explanation for why or what's going on or how your psychology works and how that's reflected in you not taking on responsibility or carrying the largest cross that you can. By the way, I resent the fact that he would liken responsibility to carrying a cross, to taking on some kind of burden, like that's a bad thing. I mean, to go back to A Nice Place to Visit, you want to see what's a truly terrible thing, what's truly hell, is not having any responsibility at all. Not having any responsibility of when something doesn't work out, you go, well, what's going on there? Why didn't that work out? That's where all your freedom and happiness and development lies. It's, oh, that didn't work out, great. It's not a burden. It's not a cross you carry. It's freeing. It's enlivening when you understand what responsibility is and where it really comes from on a deep decision by decision emotion level, which Jordan Peterson doesn't talk about. I do. Got another email that says, oh no, Jordan Peterson talks about the how to improve your psychology. He tells you, take care of yourself as if you were taking care of a friend, or, be it as nice to yourself as if you were being with a friend. So let's say your friend was going through, I think he's talking about your friend's going through some deep issue. You'd be a lot nicer than your friend. Like, he's failing out of college. I don't know. You'd be a lot nicer to your friend about that. You'd be a lot more understanding with your friend than you would be with you. Right? With you just criticize yourself and be terrible. So he's telling you how to do it. But again, that's not how. That's what. He's telling you what to do. And he's giving you a certain perspective on it. Just like just like I was saying in A Nice Place to Visit, I think it's a great perspective. But again, it's not a how. It's good to have that perspective of, oh, good, the struggle is here specifically for me. It is designed for me. And in a sense it is, because again, it's a reflection of your own issue. So it will inherently be designed for you. Now that's a great way to look at it, but that's not how to look at it. That's like the perspective you need to have. But it's not telling you how to have that perspective. Well, I wasn't telling you that when I was talking about A Nice Place to Visit. Of course I do. If you read my book, I go through specifically where a kind of perspective like that comes from. But yeah, what happens when you don't treat yourself like you would treat a friend who you really cared for? And his famous "Don't tell lies." No, he's telling you not to tell lies. So he's telling you what to do, or excuse me, how to have a healthy psychology is to not lie, is to tell the truth. He's telling you how to do it. Did you even understand what Jordan Peterson's talking about? Yeah, I have no idea, right? Yeah, but that's not a how. That's a what. It's only a how if you understand why somebody would lie in the first place, what benefit they could get from it, and how that relates with your emotions and your decisions. It goes back to what I was talking about with, I think, Marianne Williamson, positive psychology, maybe a couple months ago. Positive psychology, law of attraction, thinking positive thoughts. That is a press on the gas pedal to make the car go kind of explanation. And I think it can work, and I obviously think there's a place for that, and I think it's a great reminder if some guy who looks like your dad comes around and says, hey, it's actually really important to tell the truth. A lot of negative things happen, unforeseeable negative things happen when you lie. As I think I say in my book, Man's Guide to Psychology, I think it's good to lie to a woman once. I think every guy should really try to lie to a woman once about something at least semi-serious, just so he realizes that he's not smart enough to do that. Nobody is, right? Like it just opens up the proverbial Pandora's box. And these are all, press the gas pedal to make the car go, great. But what happens when there's a problem with the car? What happens when you do lie? What happens when you don't carry your cross or take on responsibility? What happens when you don't treat yourself like you would treat a really good friend that you do care about? I think it comes down, understanding the how, comes down to understanding an emotional reason behind every action. And that you simply cannot change the action in the short term. That's fine. And that's fine if you find yourself lying, but understanding why. So carry your cross, take on responsibility. What happens when you don't take on responsibility? Are you just a bad person? Do you just need to tell yourself, oh, okay, start taking on more responsibility? If it was that easy, if it just came down to that, again, there would be no reason for psychology. Psychology would just be philosophy. But there is. Okay, well, you don't want to take responsibility. What's going on beneath the surface? That, I would argue, is one of the immature ways to manage anxiety. And if you manage anxiety in a certain way like that for enough time, it's going to be more and more difficult for you to take on responsibility to carry your cross. You're going to say, oh, what's the point? This other guy, he's not carrying his cross, so why should I? Oh, look, we live in this world. Politicians are just this and that, and they're all crooks anyway, so why should I? Right? This is all a symptom of unmanaged anxiety, and when you don't manage the anxiety in the right way, as I talk about specifically in my book and all over YouTube, then I don't care what anybody says about responsibility or discipline or anything else like that. Yeah, don't lie. Great. Well, lying is often a compulsive behavior, and a compulsive behaviors happen when there's too much avoided anxiety in your life. So if you don't understand anxiety and how a specific decision that you make with anxiety leads to more anxiety, leads to more compulsive behaviors, obsessive thoughts, then you're going to keep lying. I don't care how many Jordan Peterson videos you watch where he tells you the importance of telling the truth. I mean, that can help, of course, but it's only a small piece of the picture. And take care of yourself like you or your friend. Why wouldn't somebody take care of themselves? What possible benefit could somebody have for not taking care of themselves? Why would you have such a negative view of yourself that you wouldn't even see yourself as worthy of being taken care? Like you would rather take care of somebody else than take care of yourself. What could be going on in your psychology? I think this comes to managing emotions, right? And if you don't do that in the correct way, if you don't break down emotions to a decision by decision level like Jordan Peterson doesn't, and I'm not just picking on him specifically, no other psychologist understands this, but look, guys, there's a deeper issue here. There's something else going on. Now, if you watch Jordan Peterson and you read his books and it helps you, great. I want you to get whatever help you can get. But when that doesn't work, when you do start lying, when you when you can't carry your responsibility, when you do start to treat yourself like crap, criticize yourself, it's not because there's anything wrong with you. It's because you don't understand how your psychology works. You don't understand how to get to the place psychologically from which treating somebody else as you would treating yourself as you would treat somebody else, a close friend who you care about, happens naturally. From which honesty is more likely to happen. This is the biggest issue. This is by far the biggest issue in psychology. People come in the clinic, they think something's wrong with them. They think they have, this disorder, this thing, that thing. And it is just about understanding how your psychology works. So when you do find yourself not taking responsibility, and maybe it takes a couple days for you to realize that, but you do find yourself not taking responsibility, you go, this is why. At least now you understand. Why did you, on the road trip, why did you end up in Maine instead of Virginia? This is why. Because I took a wrong turn here. I wasn't aware of it. I don't care how many YouTube videos you watch of somebody telling you to finish the road trip in Virginia. It doesn't matter. If you don't have the right map, if you don't have the right understanding of your psychology, then responsibility, it's like on two different frequencies. I think I tweeted that a couple days ago, or maybe today or something. Neurosis and advice are on just two completely different frequencies. Now, sometimes the neurosis picks up the advice and goes, okay, that could be useful. Yeah, maybe I could integrate that somehow, and it may help to some degree. But there's going to be way too much static to make any kind of permanent change. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why people get so involved. They just get so wrapped up in Jordan Peterson, is because he has this kind of way of talking about psychology where you probably feel like you need to keep listening to him. And if you stop listening to him, then you're going to lose the ability to carry your cross. And maybe that'll work for the next 40 or 50 years, or however long you're going to be alive. But I just think that there's a more fundamental way of dealing with this. It's easier. I mean, it seems a little bit more complicated in the short term, but that's the only downside. It's just a different way of looking at your psychology. I mean, to go back to the paleo counting calories thing. I mean, in the 90s, everybody thought, eat whole pasta, like, yeah, well, what's it called? Whole grain pasta and count your calories. And, if you do that, if you're strict enough about that, you will lose weight. No question. But there's a deeper hormonal issue there of managing your insulin. And so once you do that, then it's a lot easier to lose weight. Do you still have to count calories? Sure. But you realize it's only a small part of it. And it makes the whole losing weight, staying healthy, more importantly, process a lot easier. And we're going through the same revolution in psychology right now. So you can stick to your old ways of some guy yelling at you to carry a cross, like responsibilities, any sort of burden, or you can understand the mechanisms behind responsibility. And it's going to be much more likely to take care of itself. And to start with that, deeper understanding process, go download my ebook, Man's Guide to Psychology, animusempire.com/ebooks. And I have one more topic here. This question that comes up just a little bit here and there when I'm talking to listeners or people emailing me. I think one of the reasons, we talk about, what do we talk about? Oh yeah, the stigma around mental health, and people don't want to get mental health because they don't, like psychologists say, because there's just some stigma out there, and it has nothing to do with psychologists and how they run the field. No, nothing like that. There's just some stigma that they didn't cause. Oh, that the psychologist is a victim of, and that's why people don't want to get mental health treatment. No. The stigma is because when people go to therapy, the therapy doesn't work. And they see. And the people who are in their lives who are the most annoying to be around is your Aunt Bertha, right? Our archetype of victimhood. Uncle Vinny, our archetype of hostility. Your Aunt Bertha's been in therapy for the past 15 years, and she's not getting any better. It's just more annoying, if anything, to be around her. I'm like, oh, well, it doesn't work. There'd be a same stigma around oil changes and getting your car fixed. When you went to the dealership to fix your car, they didn't do it. And there was a stigma back in the 70s and 80s, right? That was the stereotype is, you go in and get your car fixed. There's a great Simpsons joke about that. You go in and get your car fixed, and what did they sell Homer on? I forget. That was from one of the later seasons. Not going to be responsible for knowing all those lines. But yeah, you go and you get your oil changed, and then, look, there's something wrong with your brake pads. And, you're lucky you came in, because we got to change these tires. Oh, you could have gotten in a car accident. Oh, you have a baby? Oh, you want a dead baby? Oh, okay, then I got to change your tires. And that was the stigma. I mean, car dealerships are a lot better now about it. But yeah, the stigma was well-founded. And I think one of the stigmas around mental health, and psychologists do themselves no favors in trying to disabuse this stigma, is that mental health doesn't carry over into being more effective in the real world. Mental health is just this maybe way of looking at inner peace, or way of developing inner peace. And this goes back to the mindfulness video that I did a couple weeks ago. Not that there's anything wrong with mindfulness in itself, but it's just a tool, and oftentimes that it's used because of the influence from Buddhism and other religions. But a lot of the meditation techniques specifically we get in the West is from Buddhism. And it's just about detaching from the material world and surrounding yourself with good thoughts and positive vibes, and forgetting about your worries, focusing on your breath. Oh, you have a thought, just release it like it's not a part of you. Oh, you have emotion. Oh, that's not necessarily a part of me. And it's, in a sense, disconnecting yourself from the world, because your thoughts and emotions, when you understand psychology for what it is on a philosophical, on accurate philosophical level, your thoughts and emotions are a reflection of reality. And I think a lot of people just have a huge issue with going to therapy, because they're like, well, if I just go to therapy to feel better, I don't want to feel. I mean, maybe I do want to feel better in some respect, but I have a relationship that I want to build. I have this business I want to build. I want to make money. I'll never forget, I was in an Uber. I was in Los Angeles. And it was a woman driver, and, she was old and she was divorced. And, I'm always asking people, like, what's going on? It's just very interesting to hear people and what's going on with them. And you could just tell. She was divorced. She has some kids that she doesn't really see anymore, but it's fine, because she turned her life over to Jesus and Christianity and God's just going to take care of it. I turned my life over to God, and he's going to take care of it for me. I'm not picking on Christianity or anything, but this is just one outlet that people, right? So she's probably feels good. It probably feels good for her to do that in the short term. To just, whatever troubles I have with my ex-husband, I don't know, her fault in the divorce. I mean, I'm sure she had something to do with it, right? whatever her troubles are, she's just going to turn it over to some higher power and not have to deal with it. And I'm sure this can feel really good in the short term, but in the long term, she is in a sense disconnecting from reality. And you hear it, I just hear it all the freaking time from psychologists of all different backgrounds. I mean, depth psychologists too, but especially cognitive behavioral therapists is you don't need to make money. People come in and they think, oh, they need to make money to be happy. You don't need to make money to be happy. You just need to work on yourself, work on your issues, and then you'll be happy. And then maybe you'll make money, maybe you won't. It won't really matter. Same thing with mindfulness, as I was saying. Oh, you don't need a girlfriend or a boyfriend. Your happiness, real happiness, comes from within. Right? You think you need a girlfriend or a boyfriend to be happy? Oh, nothing like that. Or I just choose to be happy. Sometimes it comes down to easy as just making a choice to be happy. Not realizing that you are a being living in this world. You only have whatever effect you feel is because you're living in this world, happiness, sadness, otherwise. So to achieve the right inner state or the inner state that you want, it necessarily involves working on outside things. Now it's not just about the outside thing. You can make a lot of money and still be miserable. And we love to look at people who are like that. Oh, we love to look at the guy who's driving down the road in the S-Class, but he's miserable and he's overweight, and he has all these smoking and drinking issues. We love to look at that guy. That's not the majority. You become happy not from making money, but from working on the issues that you need to work on in the creation of money. What is making money? Unless you're involved in politics or lobbying or something like that. It is, how do I figure out how to create my identity to be valuable to not only other people, but to me as well? That's really what it is. By learning a skill, by learning about a knowledge and communicating in a certain way. That's what making money is. Become valuable, communicate. That's what you want for your psychological health. That's what other people want from you. Same thing with getting a girlfriend or boyfriend. The girlfriend, the boyfriend, not going to make you happy, but the issues that you need to work on to get the girlfriend or the boyfriend. Oh, now I got to go talk to girls. Okay, this is making me look at myself. Parts of me that are a little bit scarier are coming up for me, especially when I'm around a particularly pretty woman. Just all your issues coming to the surface and you feel 3 inches shorter than you really are. That's you working on your issues, and by managing those issues, just seeping out in a certain way, in an appropriate way, and managing them as they come to the surface, that's how you get the girlfriend. That's also how you achieve the quote inner peace. These aren't one or the other. Right? You do both at the same time. Or just working when you actually understand the mechanisms behind happiness in the first place. Managing your anxiety, managing your anger, right? Confronting threats, getting needs met. The better you get at that, then what happens, the happiness is the natural result. What I rip on all the time is gratitude. I love gratitude. I love feeling grateful. I love feeling appreciative as the result of getting my needs met, or reminding myself of the past of when I've gotten my needs met. Not just walking down the street, seeing some homeless guy pissing his pants and thinking, well, at least I'm not that. No, that's a distraction from the issues that you need to work on. Now, does it feel good in the short term just to look at the bum pissing his pants and go, well, at least I'm not that? Yeah. That can engender some sense of relief. I don't even know if that's feeling good. It's more relief than anything else. Get your needs met. But in order to get your needs met, you're going to have to work on your anger, and you don't like anger. You're afraid of it. Your mom always yelled at you whenever you got angry. So really, to get your needs met, you have to go back to issues with your mom. You don't want to do that. So you're just going to focus on the gratitude. You're going to distract yourself with the gratitude. And this is what especially cognitive behavioral therapists will do. even when they do give you some sort of behavior plan, like I talked about with getting the shot, they're the ones telling you to do it. So even if you do it, it's not you making the decision. So it's not really managing the issue. But yeah, it's just about creating this sense of happiness and peace without interacting with the world in a better way. I mean, the times in my life when I have improved the most, and this is, not just me, I corroborate this with pretty much everybody. I mean, if you actually see somebody who's gone through a serious psychological change, it's always the same story. Well, I felt miserable. And then because I felt miserable, I finally had the energy. I finally was in enough pain where I got to the place where I was willing to do what I needed to do. That's really where all this comes from. And this is a result of mind body dichotomy. I don't have to go into that much right now. You get the point. But the only reason that we don't do this, the only reason that psychology doesn't focus on this, will focus on the inner peace, will just tell you to be grateful, as opposed to working on the mechanisms behind a more natural, authentic, grassroots, organic kind of gratitude, is because they don't understand the mechanism behind it, because they don't understand the emotions, which goes back to the what versus how in Jordan Peterson, which of course goes back to a nice place to visit somehow. Yeah, because you want to work on your emotions. You don't want things. You do, in a sense, what you want to do is work on your issues. And then from working on your issues, you get things. You get the things that you want. You're much more likely to wake up in the morning and study calculus for 2 hours because you're not worried about, your dad and how he hurt you. You've managed those issues. And there's a specific way to do that. Animus at animusempire.com. We work on the mechanisms behind how our thoughts and emotions relate with reality so we can relate with reality in a healthier way. Doesn't necessarily feel good. It will feel better in the long term, but in the short term, it may be painful. Good. You want it to be painful. You want that pain. That's great motivation because it's either pain or moving forward. When your two choices, when you get aware enough of your issues and your two choices can become either pain or moving forward, how much more likely are you to actually move forward and do what you need to do because you're the one who wants to do it? How much more intention are you going to have? A freaking lot more. That's how this works. If you have any questions, start with my book, animusempire.com/ebooks, Man's Guide to Psychology, also available on Amazon. And I think I'll leave it there. Yeah, we have a group here. We have individual therapy here. I have a course, how to go through therapy. What you need to talk about, how you need to talk about. Oh, wasn't that the therapist's job to tell me that? Yeah. Well, therapists suck. Here's a way to go through therapy, to go through typical therapy. In 10 years of it, I would say. And it's probably more than that, but I'd just be conservative. Roughly 10 years of typical therapy that you would get from your insurance provider. You can do that in 12 weeks. Is that a complete transformation? No. It's a good start. I know you're going to feel yourself acting differently. In fact, I'm about to go through it again with somebody in the coming weeks. So any more insights I get from that, I'll let you know. But yeah, you're going to start to feel yourself act differently and going to do a lot better. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. And of course, I wish you all the joy and all the pain that comes from being in touch with reality.